What's going on, peeps? It's Wrath here, hanging out today, playing some Idle Heroes. Today we're here on the old account, but the most important thing we're doing today is talk about the new events and stuff like that. Before we jump into the new events, there's been a few changes to the game. First up, Hero Business. You click on the skill, it just stays there now, which, thank God. Quality of life improvements, dude, I'm telling you. I love them. As someone who does read skills occasionally, just being able to click on them and then like, oh, look at this. Ooh, it's a 12%. Ooh, a 6%. I can do that now, and I feel good about it. But other than that, nothing really important coming out of this area. But one thing that was pretty handy-dandy was up here in the Celestial Island. Boop. I don't have any right now because, you know, whatever. But when you get chests, back in the day, being yesterday and the day before, you had to click on the chest, then click the OK confirmation, then click on the chest. And it was just kind of annoying and kind of time-consuming. Well, they got rid of that second confirmation button, thank God. You just click it, it opens it. You click it, it opens it. It's super great, super fast. I love that kind of stuff. Love quality life improvements that make me happy inside. With that said, we've got the new events today. But before we talk about the new events, I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm going to try to keep it short, because I'm going to try to keep it short, I promise. So, the new event was supposed to be Profit Orb event. That's kind of what it was supposed to be. But from what I hear, the devs are trying to line up the Profit Orb event with the Easter holiday. I'm fine with that. It makes sense. But what I'd really like them to do is actually keep the schedule the way it is. Run heroic summons, then casino event, then orbs, and then the item exchange, because A, it breaks up your boring week, so it's not 2 boring weeks back to back, because that really does suck, and a lot of people legit quit playing the game in those 2 weeks and don't come back. Seen it happen. Even accounts that are VIP 6, 7, they just walk away from them, and they're done. And that's not good for the game. So anyways, I'd like them to keep the event schedule like it is right now. I feel like it would be better for the game, but also, here's something that just, it blows my mind that it's not a thing yet. We have an event currency that's supposed to be like elite, right? We have the Super Wishing Coins, and they refuse to add a Super Wishing Coin event to the game. I don't know why. It makes sense from every aspect of the game you look at it from. If you're a free-to-play player or a new player, being able to spin these during an event and get more loot for it is good for you. So why not add, during the Wishing Fountain week, add the Super Wishing Fountain event on top of it. Make it the premier premium force of the week. Have this being more of these two being more support events that aren't like super fantastic, because they're not super fantastic. But why not? Like, you know what I'm saying? You already get a super chip every single day for logging in during the week, like you get a profit you get a profit orb in profit week. Why not just add the event in, dude? Make it an event, because it makes sense from both the free-to-play player up to the spender, but also from a development standpoint. If you have value packages like this week, we'll talk about this, Ada, ooh, $100 Ada. But I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb here and say that Casino Week is probably the week that the devs make the least amount of money. Because at least during the item exchange event / mysterious chest event, you need gems to complete the event, or you're going to need extra of the item exchange currency to get the top tier rewards. So I'd assume that Wishing Fountain event week or whatever is probably the least money the devs make. Why not just go ahead, throw in some higher super chip rewards here, make this package more worth buying if you have a super chip event along with it. You would actually increase sales, which I know some people out there, oh my god, it's more pay to win garbage. It's already pay to win. Get over yourselves. Okay, get on the level. Okay, but why not? I mean, it gives free-to-play players somewhere to spend their super chips at a convenient time to actually get more loot, but all the way up to the devs, you're going to make more money. So, I don't know, that was just my thoughts. With that said, we'll jump in here to talk about the value packages. Ada, she's pretty much here as a gimmick, mainly because I'm assuming they don't sell many $100 packages during Casino Week, because casino events generally aren't that great. You can do one completion for free pretty much, and most people will do that. If you're a spender and you do a lot of Aspen dungeon runs at Hell 50+, you can probably do double completions. I wouldn't say that's impossible at all. So, I mean, you don't really need to spend even to get double completions on the Wishing Fountains most of the time. But, like I said, no one really buys these chests ever, or these packs, I guess, ever. So they're trying to sweeten the deal here with an Ada. I'm not going to pick it up just because I already have my E3 Ada. I think building multiple E3s of the same type is a little bit boring. So if I build another light hero on my PvP account, it's going to be Asmodel. It's not going to be another Ada, just because I think that's more fun. So I'm not going to pick this one up, even though, I mean, Nobody can tell you what's worth your money other than you, because you know what your financial situation is, you know what's worth your money, and that's kind of what is important. I can't tell you, buy this, it's super worth it, because it may not be for you. For me, it's also not worth it, so I'm not picking it up. But for you, it may be, so it's there. It's an option, and then the rest of this stuff, just kind of normal crap other than the Vesa skin, which also, that's one thing I totally forgot to bring up, is Vesa's different. I don't know why they decided to rework her look now. I guess she looks more ladylike, I guess. I don't know. It seems like, what's she doing to that stick? Ooh. I don't know. I don't know what that's all about. What's her 6-star form look like? Where is she? Eeny, meeny, miny, Vesa. So they kept like the color theme the same. Ooh, it's like she strummed it like a banjo, but it's not a banjo, I promise. And then, yeah, they kept the color scheme pretty much the same, just kind of changed her looks a little bit. I think it looks better. I'm down with it. It makes Vesa look a little bit cooler. It makes me almost want to build one now, even though I probably won't. But anyways, there's that. So we got the new skin also up in that area. Boop. The Snow Queen. Oh, not sure what that's off of. If it's off of anything, I don't know. It's a skin. It's kind of wintry, which I kind of don't like winter, so it's not my jam. But it's there. Wishing Fountain event, normal run-of-the-mill event, 8 orbs, 8 super chips, but this time the reward is Starlight, who's, you know, still a pretty B-tier unit in my opinion, but slightly better than some of the offers we get occasionally. I'd say she's alright. For free-to-play and low spenders, she's not a terrible build. She's pretty easy to get copies for, and after the rework, she's, you know, pretty decently useful. I wouldn't say she's great or anything, but she's alright. 5 relics, which, another reason nobody probably spends to get more than one completion. There's not really a great offering down here to make it worth doing. I mean, 8 orbs, if you spend like the $100 package, just back to the spending, because for me who spends, it's something I focus on. 150 chips is just a little bit over halfway of a completion. So, I mean, you'd get like 4 orbs. Ooh. Or you could spend $100 during Profit Orb Week and get 25 orbs. It's just, it's all out of whack. They're just not really good. That's why I try to spice it up with stuff like this and this to get people to spend during casino weeks. I don't know, just make a super wishing event. You'll thank me later, devs. I promise. That brings us down to the super shelter mission. There's actually a couple decent heroes here for the mid tier. Things like Bloodblade, pretty solid boss damage unit early on, can actually handle the Aspen dungeon decently well as well. I don't know. Whatever. We got Demon Hunter, pretty solid early game PvP unit, but not so great in the end game, does get kind of dookied on. Berea, which I'm super excited for the mid-tier account, because I'm trying to build a Berea down there, so that's just handy. But over here, the 2 reworked Light and Dark heroes are actually on offer, so this is like the only time in the game I would say it's definitely worth picking up the Light hero if you're going to build Asmo, because I've got an Asmo. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll swap in for Asmo over here, because honestly, Asmo puts out some beefy PvE damage, so might not be a bad build. I don't know, but I'm focused on Belrain first. Either way, this would probably be like the one time that I look at the offerings over here in Light and Dark and say, you know what, if you want to go for it, you can. I've heard some people saying Dark Arthrodol can nuke pretty hard now. I still haven't seen it. Doesn't mean it's not possible. I just haven't run into any issues at all fighting them. They just got kind of duked on and smashed out of the way. They don't seem that special. Not to me. Maybe they are good, I just don't feel like it's a thing. So if you want to pick a one up this week, I would say this is probably the week to do it, because they are actually been buffed and they're slightly better units than before. Previously, everything that popped up in Shelter Mission and Light and Dark was pretty much garbage, so you should never buy them, because like it's like a last-ditch resort. If you have no Light or Dark hero for Heroic Miracle, then, you know, it's your last week before it comes up. Maybe a good idea to go ahead and pick those up, but outside of that, they're just usually not that good. This time's a little bit different. So I might pick up the Asmo on my PvP account. I might do it here. I don't think I'll do it here, though. I probably won't. Anyways, there's your deal. We'll do a quick rundown of each of the heroes, just because kind of how we do it. It's going to be a shorter video today, just because there's not a lot going on. You know, it's kind of the run-of-the-mill stuff. This is also still going on if you're wondering. It's still there. But anyways, Emily used to be actually a pretty solid unit. It actually was like a PvP thing for a while. You had like Ice Blinks and Emily's and Demon Hunters, and it was like almost a meta, which was crazy. Nowadays, she's not really that useful in a lot of areas, but she's not a bad early game support. She has the ability to buff your allies' speed. That's 5-star. We're not looking at 5-star crap. 5-star junk is not worth looking at because it's 5 stars. And no one builds a unit to 5-star, okay? You just get them at 5-star. You build them to this. So she boosts speed and attack for your allies, which isn't bad. It's kind of nice, like a little mini Belrain buff there. Also reduces I don't know. Reduces enemy precision by 40%, which, I mean, it's not a horrible thing, but it's not great. It's a little bit of an attack debuff, I guess you could say now. But, you know, overall, she used to be a pretty solid PvP support unit. Not anymore. Everybody swapped to Belrains and stuff like that for supports. You just don't need Emily anymore. But for early and mid-game stuff, she's not a bad little support monster hero. Gives you some attack and it reduces enemy when she falls below 50% health. So, not bad. Boost your damage. Not a bad little support unit, but not great. When it comes to PvE support, you're probably better off with a Rosa than an Emily anyways. And when it comes to PvP supports, you probably just don't use her at all. You're better off building Ormus from the Fortress faction. With that said, we'll go over to Bloodblade. We've talked about Bloodblade before. Bloodblade. Yeah, he makes noises. But he's got some heals attached to both his whenever enemy heroes die, but also his active skill, which is kind of nice, keeps him alive. For things like the Aspen Dungeon can be useful. If you fought him in the Aspen Dungeon, you know he's a super troll. Yours, just heads up, is nowhere near as good as theirs is. Don't try to face your Bloodblade against 4 Bloodblades. It probably won't go well, probably. But anyways, pretty solid dude when it comes to boss damage. He has a lot of bleed dots, which is great, but also on top of his bleed dots, he does extra damage to bleeding foes, which is really nice when you bleed things. Also, 50% precision, which is now a native attack boost as well. Pretty solid guy when it comes to boss damage, especially early to mid-game. And if you could keep him alive in the late game, I would say he probably still drops pretty respectable damage. You could probably get a Bloodblade 200, 300 million damage, I'd say. Maybe even more with Belrains. I don't know. I haven't tested him in forever. It'd be kind of cool to do. But anyways, Bloodblade. Definitely worth it in PvE. Not at all in PvP. He just gets crowd controlled and nuked to death. He's not really great there. But, you know, who cares? Who cares about PvP, right? It's all about PvE. Anyways, there we go. Moving over to Berea. Berea. Actually, one of my favorite looking units. I like units with big beefy weapons and stuff. I like it. I do. And Berea is a beefy dude. Not only does he have a pretty solid active skill, it hits pretty hard. I don't know if they've changed his 10-star skill. It doesn't read the way his 5-star and 6-star skills do, if you guys don't know. Boop. In this form, he has to have more health than who he's attacking to get this extra damage buff. For some reason, that's not written on his 10-star form, so I don't know if they just removed it, or if it's just a hidden thing, like they just don't say it anymore. I don't know. But he also boosts his attack and armor breaking with his active skill. Not that he needs the armor break, because he actually builds up to 100% armor break over time. Max crit damage. Amazing for fighting bosses. Very heavy hitter, and also quite tanky with, very high health stat, which is nice. It's one thing that warriors are really good at when you take them to fight bosses, is they're usually the most tanky class, and they can kind of eat through anything. Berea's no different. He can tank a lot of punches. He reduces armor off the enemies with his basic attack, which is great. He already has a decently high armor stat on top of that. Plus, like I said, with the damage he's able to put out, he is not a bad unit at all. Great for bosses. I've heard he can make it to hell in the Aspen Dungeon by himself. That's not something that I've ever done, so I don't know, but that's not bad. Hell in the Aspen Dungeon is a really good smash point, so it's pretty cool to get one of those on offer in the shelter missions. Moving over, we've got our forest unit, which is... Who the crap was it? Oh, Demon Hunter. That's right. Forgot for a second. I was like, who is it? It's Demon Hunter. Pretty much strictly a PvP unit for early to mid game. When it comes to the late game, she's not used at all. You see Valkyries. I'd say you'd see an Oberon probably before you see Demon Hunter in the late game PvP. But, she's fast, which is good for her. A lot of silence, pretty high chance to land the silence, which is great. She also is one of those units that scale on enemy hero deaths. So early on, she can really stack up damage by knocking out enemy units, getting a lot of crit damage out of it, a lot of attack boosts, and then this little poison dot can hit really hard after that as well. So, decent early to mid-game PvP unit, not bad at all. When you get to the late game, no, she's not good. Don't use one, it's going to bite you in the butt. Just much better forest units. Valkyrie every day of the week over Demon Hunter, unless you just don't like the Valkyrie cheese and you said, I'm going to be different, I'm going to build Demon Hunter, in which case, build you a Demon Hunter. With that said, we've got the Dark Arthrodol. Boop. We've talked about her a little bit before, but she's a little different. Mainly, she gains some reduced damage on her active skill, but also when she takes damage, depending on how much HP she's lost, she boosts her own attack and skill damage for 6 rounds and gains 10 energy. So she can nuke pretty hard. The problem is they have no crowd control resistance. So if she gets crowd controlled, she's trash. You know what I'm saying? If she gets nuked, she's trash. It's pretty much, I would say she's super RNG based now. That would be my initial assessment, because every time I fought one, I've just plowed through it. Very much a PvP hero in my eyes. I don't see PvE usefulness coming out of her at all. Could be wrong. I don't see it. I don't see the potential for huge damage coming in PvE, because I feel like you'd have to flirt with death almost to get her to do PvE damage. You know, because she's not missing a lot of health. She's not going to be doing any damage really, because this is where all her damage comes from. So I don't know. I just don't feel like she'd be a super fantastic PvE unit at all. I think it's primarily PvP, and even then, I would still very much build a Mim or an Aspen long before Dark Arthur. Also, pretty meh in my eyes still. Hasn't changed my opinion. Asmo, however, is a freak. After the Asmo rework, he's just a beast. He drops nuky damage like nobody's business in PvP and in PvE. He has some control immunity built in, which is just great when it comes to PvP. Holy damage is always nice. High crit chance. When he gets hit, when he takes damage, that's the same thing. When he does a basic attack, when he does an active skill, everything adds marks to enemies. When you drop a crit, those burst, it does crazy damage. Anytime he gets hit, he gets 25% damage reduced for 1 round, which is actually really nice because he can get pretty tanky when he gets hit. It's kind of a good thing. Very, very solid unit in pretty much every area of the game right now. Asmo can handle anything from boss damage to the Aspen dungeon all the way up into PvP. So really good versatile unit right now. If you're going to buy one of the Light of the Dark heroes this week from the Shelter mission, I would highly recommend you go Asmo. Even though any Light and Dark hero is going to be very difficult to build, it takes a lot of time or a lot of money. There's no really other way around it. You're not going to do it for free quickly, and you're not going to do it, well, I guess you can do it very expensively quickly, but it's going to be very expensive. You know what I'm saying? But Light heroes, Dark heroes, they're patience builds, especially if you're free. It's a very patient build, because it's going to take you a long time to get the food to get that guy to 10 star. Like forever. So with that said, that's the heroes for the event. That's pretty much all we need to talk about. There's not really much else going on. It's just that for now. And then coming up next week, we'll have the orbs, finally. Can't wait. I've got enough for a triple completion here, I believe. Ooh, a little more than enough. That's always hot. But anyways, that is me for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, please make sure, smash that thumbs up button and show your support. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe as well, and tell your friends about it, because that definitely helps me out a lot. And I will see you guys in the next one.